You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik, a show to help professional moms in survival mode to take hold of their lives and thrive. If you're ready to take powerful action to create your best life, then this is the show for you. I'm your host, Dr. Prianca Naik, board-certified internal medicine physician and certified life coach. Now let's get to it and dive in. You are listening to the Empowering Working Moms podcast, episode number 57. Hello there. Happy summer. It is still summer. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so happy to have you listening. I myself have been really building a new chapter of my life, and I've joined this entrepreneurial group that I'm so thrilled about. So many imaginative, wonderful ideas, and I love the energy. And it's really great to surround ourselves with like-minded people. So actually, funnily enough, I was talking to one of my clients earlier this week, and she was telling me that she was able to harness her voice because when she came to me, she felt unheard. And through coaching, she discovered her own ability to speak up for herself and started doing that. And with that, she was able to actually cultivate the work schedule that she wanted. And she actually told me that she did not think this was possible in the beginning before she really started her work with me. And the ability to harness her voice, she told me that she's been able to have more honest and open conversations with her husband and create smaller ways to connect with her kids that have such a meaningful impact, and really learning to manage her time to invest it well with her kids. And before we started, with her work schedule, she called it a quote unquote a fantasy to have a different work schedule. And she had no idea that would even be possible. Like, she really thought to herself it was a dream and there was no way to do it. But through coaching with me, she created exactly that. And we get to create the life that we desire. Very, very far from exhaustion and burnout. And this is my client, Nidhi, who is a physician. She has 2 small kids. And if it's possible for her, it is possible for you. The work we are doing inside my coaching program is not really time intensive. And clients like Nidhi report being out of burnout and really creating the life they want. So if she can do it, I could do it, my clients could do it, so could you. To learn more, join my free on-demand masterclass, 4 steps to ending burnout and exhaustion, and finally get your peace of mind back. The link will be in the show notes. So today I'm going to talk about how to be less tired. And actually I'm creating a 2-part series, and this is part 1. So one of the ways to be less exhausted, be less tired, is to create joy and to create freedom. And when you do this, you will find yourself so energized and happy that feeling tired, feeling burned out is a shadow, right? Like, you will not have those feelings anymore. So not having fun, I think, is an epidemic that affects so many people in my age group who have small kids. They're really caught up in the grind with very little play and so much work. And I've talked about this before, that really when we die, we're not going to remember the work that we did, but we're going to remember the memories we created, the time we spent with loved ones, and cherish those and the fun that we had. So being in the grind, it's not something that we have to do. It's a choice. And I've definitely talked about this in prior episodes, that we do get to choose our life. And when we feel bogged down from this not having fun, we feel a complete lack of freedom. A lot of people, in fact, feel stuck, which is not a fun place to be. And feeling this way is really tiring, and it can be boring, and it's definitely not energizing. So if we learn to solve this problem, we can create more joy and freedom. Voila, our lives are instantly better. So when was the last time that you felt joy and freedom? I want you to take a second to really reflect upon that. Reflecting on these matters is really crucial and critical in transforming our lives. Otherwise, we're just living in survival mode, and one day bleeds to the next, and you just feel like it's Groundhog's Day and you're doing the same thing again and again, and there's no fun in that, right? So really think about that last time, most recent time that you felt freedom and joy, and pause if you need to. Something that adds to this feeling of stuckness is that marriage or being a mother, it can feel like it impinges on our freedom. But there is a happy medium of cultivating freedom and being able to have that same life, that same married life, or the life of being a parent. I want you to ask yourself the following question. What are the top 3 things that brought you the most joy in college or in your 20s or 30s when you were younger? I would pause and really write this down, or listen to this maybe when you're not driving, or maybe brainstorm out loud, but 3 things that brought you the most joy in college or in your 20s and 30s. Now, once you figure out what those 3 things are, create a plan to incorporate one or more of them in the next month. Yes, the next 30 days. You get to create a plan. And then next thing you know, one step at a time, you're taking action, and that is how your life is different and better. Another question I want you to think about is, what are some things or hobbies or travel that you would like to pursue that you haven't since you became a mom? And I know for me, I went to Coachella before I got pregnant with my first son. I was so glad I did that because I had been wanting to go. And I recently also have been planning another adventure that has been on my bucket list for a while. So what is something that has been on your bucket list, or something that you really wanted to do, but then quote unquote life got in the way, work, being a mom? And if you can figure out what that is, create a plan, take one step forward to make that happen. Just pick one out of how many ever things on the list that you come up with. Another way to create freedom is to really make decisions in alignment with what you want, with who you want to be, and what your values are. And along with that, stop people pleasing. People pleasing is something that so many of us are conditioned to do from a really young age, to please our teachers, please our parents, and it really gets us in a mode of living for other people. And in South Asian families, I know, and I'll make the generalization because I grew up this way, you are given somewhat of a path and you just follow it. And you don't really, well, depending on your personality, you may not question it. And then next thing you know, your life is wherever it is. And maybe it's not in alignment with what you actually want. And as women who have achieved so much, we do have the privilege of reflecting, evaluating if our life is currently in integrity with who we are or want to be. And when it comes to people pleasing, you may not even realize this, but people pleasing is so draining. It's draining to do things that don't feel good for us, even if they feel good for other people, or if they're not in alignment with the life that we want. And this kind of behavior, the people-pleasing behavior, living for others, it can make you so tired, and you probably don't even realize you're doing it. So think about a time recently when you did something that didn't align with who you believe you are, who you want to be, and you maybe did it to control someone else's opinion of you, or you did it because you felt like it was the right thing to do for them. Really think about that. And in fact, I would take the time to make a list of at least 5 things that you did that were people-pleasing, and then reflect on how that made you feel, and if it depleted you, or maybe that is why you felt so tired this week that you were doing things that you really didn't want to do. So now that you know this, you can realize and be cognizant of when you are people pleasing, and then you get to start practicing not people pleasing. Another way to create freedom or create joy is to make things happen that we think we can't. So a great way of identifying this is to think about when you feel envious of what someone else has. Maybe they have this amazing friendship with somebody. Maybe they're always taking trips. Maybe they just seem really happy. So reflect on what thing that is that you envy, or what way of life do you envy? And then you get to decide one thing out of that list, if there's more than one thing that you can make happen. Let's say you envy a trip or maybe someone took a trip to the beach. Now, if you feel like a trip to the beach isn't in your budget, is there a way to create a more budget conscious way of going to the beach? Or pick something on that list that you could do within the next 30 days practically. So once you figure that out, start creating a plan to get that in your life. And that way you start seeing how much power you have to actually create the life that you want. I know you might think you're stuck, but you actually are not. You get to unstick yourself at any time. And if you reflect on all the things I've talked about today, and you say to yourself, I cannot create more of what I want, more freedom, more joy, realize that that is actually a limiting belief. And if you don't know what a limiting belief is a thought that you really think is the absolute truth. In fact, it really may not be, and it stops you from doing certain things. And it doesn't even have to be about the way you see yourself. It could be about how the world works, ideas, or anything else. And these limiting beliefs are actually not true. Everything truly is a choice. And the sooner that we own that, the sooner that we can create the life that we want for ourselves, and the sooner that we can be less tired and feel freedom and joy. If you can take away from the episode that the world is truly your oyster, you get to create what you want in your life by 1, figuring it out, 2, making a plan, 3, taking action. This is the formula that will bring you freedom and joy and will most certainly have you feeling less tired and way more energized. So get to it. Let me know how it goes. One small step at a time. And the next thing you know, complete transformation. To have a streamlined process to end burnout and exhaustion in 90 days or less that will work faster than therapy, a Peloton, yoga, self-help books. Book a call with me to get started on this important work. Prianca Naik, mdcoaching.as.me. And this work will have a ripple effect on all of those around you that you care about. And it is so beautiful. You can't afford to miss out on this work. Let's talk. Prianca Naik, mdcoaching.as.me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Empowering Working Moms podcast, Real Talk with Dr. Prianca Naik. If you are ready to get unstuck and out of survival mode to live your best life, I want to invite you to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me. To get started, visit priancanaikmdcoaching.as.me. Link in the show notes.